All right, we're going to start unit on area. And before we get into all of the new shapes, we're going to spend today pretty much doing a lot of review, or at least reminding of how to find area of triangles and different types of parallelograms. We're going to start first with parallelograms. All three of these are types of parallelograms. Rectangles and squares are just specific types of parallelograms. And in order to find the area of all three of these shapes, we're going to need the base and the height. One thing that makes the rectangle easy is when you have the side lengths, the base and the height meet at your right angle. So the base is one side and the height is the other side. One thing you have to be very careful of in a parallelogram is that the base, the height actually has to be drawn down where it is a meeting at a right angle. So they must always meet at a right angle. In a square, because the side lengths are the same, you might also just do side squared, because the base and the height are both equal to the exact same thing. So first one, finding the area of the parallelogram. In this case, we clearly have the base and the height both drawn and they meet at a right angle. So in order to find the area, we can just do 15 times 19, which gives us 285 meters squared. For number two, finding the area of the shaded region, we have there's a couple different ways you can do it, but what we have on the outside is a big rectangle, and then we want to get rid of those four squares. You can also break up the ones on the inside, but our big square actually on the outside. So we have a 14 by 14. So the big figure is 14 squared, which is 196. And then we want to get rid of all of those. And all of those are each a 5 by 5 square. So we have 25 units squared, and we have 4 of them. So the shaded region had 196 as the whole thing. We're going to get rid of the 100 that is not shaded, and we're going to have 96 meters squared. Similar concept for number 3. We're going to break it up into different size shapes that we have. So first one I'm going to do is taking this rectangle up at the top, make that a 6 by 2, which gives me 12. Then I'm going to take this figure, which is 6 and 8, so it has a width of 14, and 14 with a height of 2. This is 28. And then I now have a width of 21 and a height of 2 for the bottom one. So I have 42 there. Add up all of those. And then you get 82 inches squared total for my shaded area. For the next one, we actually have to find the dimensions, and we are given the fact that it's a rectangle. So the rectangle has an area of 315. And it says its length is 6 meters longer than it is wide. So we have a width, we don't know, and the length is 6 more than that width. Remembering how to find area, we're given the area, but we need to set up the equation now. We have the base times the height is equal to my area of 315. So this becomes a factoring question that we need to solve. Subtract the 315 over, sorry. And we need two numbers that multiply to negative 315 and add to 6. And so we are going to have w plus 21, w minus 15 equals 0. And we are going to get w is negative 21 and 15. We know that the width can't be a negative dimension. So our width is 15, but it asks us to find our length. So plugging in 15, we get that our length is going to be equal to 21 meters. For number 6, the sides of a parallelogram are 8 and 16 inches, and one of the angles is 45. It does not. There's actually two ways to draw this. It does not matter how you draw it. So you could put your 45-degree angle there. 8 and 16 go there. You could also draw it the other way. 45-degree angle there. 16 and 8 there. So it does not specify which side needs to be the 8 or the 16. But we cannot multiply the 8 and the 16 together because, remember, the height needs to be where it makes a right angle. So we need to recall the part why I like these types of questions is it makes us recall our 45, 45, 90 information here. And so recalling that we have a, and a root 2, our a root 2 is equal to 8. So when we solve for a, we're going to get 4 root 2 for our height. Now we have the area is equal to base times height of 16 for the base and the height of 4 root 2, which is 64 root 2 and then inches squared. If you decided to draw it the other way, now you only have to do it one of these ways, but if this is the way you saw it, then in this case it would be still a root 2, but this time the a root 2 is equal to 16, which means my a value is going to be 8 root 2. And so your area would be 8 times 8 root 2, which is still 64 root 2. So it does not matter which way you draw the diagram. Next is remembering